Hey, Jared.
Hey, Greg.
Hello. Hi, Jarf. Can I do a question before we start?
Hey, Jose. We haven't started yet.
Okay. Well, I'll ask you one thing. How is it going?
Can we go to the agenda first,
okay.
Jose?
No problem.
I think we have enough people. Let's go ahead and start. First item is on blockers, and I just wanted to give you guys a link to all of the blockers for across all projects. I moved these to a group label so that you can see them, that it spans both Omnibus and Get. Those are the priority one blockers. And I just wanted to highlight a few of them. One of the highlights here is that since last week, we decided we're going to have one console server, one console server that's going to service all the database shards. So because of that, we need to make sure all the service names are unique. There's some hard coding that happens for service names, so we're trying to get those changes through Omnibus, but it's going quickly, so I don't think it's going to be a problem. Item number 2, just to give you an idea of what's being worked on now. Right now, Ahmad is working on the ILB. We don't have support for this in Get, so we're going to probably just work around that by creating our own role. Ahmad, if you're here, could you just give a quick update on ILB stuff?
Yeah, sure. So as you said, we don't have the necessary components in Git right now. So my plan was to reuse some of the stuff we already use for provisioning our load balancer in production and staging. But still, we need to extend the Git branch we're using right now because, for example, all the nodes are provisioned in a single zone, and the GCP groups expect that you have it in across all 3 zones and so on. So we still need to change a few bits in Git itself. But with batching a lot of things, I managed to get it working. So I need to refine my solution and create a couple of merge requests so we can have this workaround. And then we can see if we need how we can collaborate with the Git team to get it working natively in Git.
Right. So yeah, I forgot about the single zone thing. I guess we should probably propose a solution to that similar to what we do in our own Terraform. So we just spread them across zones like we do now. Okay. What I'm working on right now is exporters and monitoring, just making sure we have all the Prometheus exporters that we need. This is going well. I expected to have this wrapped up soon, or I expect to have this wrapped up sooner, but I think we'll probably finish this week. And then it's going to be a matter of getting the Prometheus deployed into Kubernetes and figuring out how we're going to hook it into Thanos. And that's probably the biggest risk right now because there are just some unknowns around that. Craig, do you have item number 3?
Yep. So I'll just formalize. So I'm assuming sharding group will be able to use this repeatable database creation for their testing and staging environments. And we were just discussing when not having an environment will become a blocker. So leads to a couple of questions. Is this the tooling that sharding group will use for their future environments?
Yeah, so I think there are two aspects of this. One is having multiple database shards, or probably just one shard to start in addition to the main shard. Probably we'll have like a CI shard or something. Mm-hmm. And we provision that and we hook it up to staging. And what we'll provide is, you know, a PG bouncer endpoint and a console service for the replicas, and we'll be able to configure staging using those. And then there's questions that remain is like, I'm not sure how migrations are going to work for the new database shards. I mean, is that something we have to, you know, add? Is this going to be a disruption to the current staging environment? I think that's why we wanted a separate environment to hook up initially. So that's the other aspect, is like what, we don't have anyone actively working on creating a separate environment for sharding. We have the reference architecture for staging, like a staging environment using the reference architecture. And we were thinking about borrowing that for this, but that's still unclear.
So I assume you're talking about how do we get the CI data to the separate database when you ask about migrations, is that right?
Yeah, like I guess I'm come mid-September, when let's say you're ready to go mid-September and you want to test this thing in staging. What's that gonna look like? Yeah.
Yeah. So any environment, it's going to be replication streaming. So effectively, we'll just have another copy of the database, and then we'll drop or just not use the tables that we're not going to use in the first iteration. Yeah. Just drop them. So our focus doesn't need to be entirely on staging. We just need another environment where we can start testing the implementation, start running tests against it, et cetera. So I was assuming that this was the tool that we could use to set up an environment so that we can start testing. Doesn't need to be staging. And in fact, the first few runs shouldn't be staging, right? So that's, yeah, I mean,
this tooling is around creating repeatable databases and not creating repeatable, like, you know, not creating a full GitLab installation that can hook up to it. Gotcha. So that may be part of the confusion. I don't think that would be difficult to bring up a reference architecture that we hook into this. Mm-hmm. When I was talking to Camille about this, he thought maybe like he was thinking that the first iteration could be just treating this shard as a replica, and then, you know, where all of the tables will be replicated to it. And then we'll just activate the logic to kind of like use the replica as another shard, even though like it will have all the same data as the main database. So if that's all we're looking for, then that should be, I think, doable for mid-September. I would like to know, maybe we need to talk outside of this meeting on exactly what the expectations are, because I think that's a little bit unclear.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like this tool is separate from our needs, so we can maybe just invite you to the next sharding sync, which is on Monday, where we can talk about what our needs are and make sure that we have a path forward on that. So, okay, then you can disregard my next question.
Okay, cool. Jose, you have number 4.
So, Jar, question about the monitoring. Are we, for the new databases, are we considering the same monitoring that we have for GitLab.com, or are you delivering something different?
Same monitoring. How we set up Prometheus and Thanos is still TBD, but the idea is that we're going to plug into the same dashboards, and we'll be using a new label called shard to differentiate you know, the different shards within, you know, among the Patroni databases. So yeah, you'll have the same dashboards that we have now.
Thank you. And do you think this will be as well for when do you think this will be ready for half of September later, or?
So that's my goal. Is I'm shooting for mid-September. The monitoring may come after that if we fall behind. I think it really depends on how much of Ahmad and Alejandro's time we can have. Right now, the registry DB has been taking up some of our bandwidth, so I don't know. But that's the plan. The priority will probably just to have a functioning Patroni cluster that's registered with Consul so that the sharding team can start using it. Monitoring is really important, but that'll probably come right after. That. Cool. And number 5 on Get.
Yeah, I'm asking like, how is getting the implementation? Are you using Ansible or are you using Get? Because I got a bit confused on this.
Right now, what we're doing is we are using Ansible and Terraform, and we are taking advantage of some of the Ansible and Terraform that Get has written. So we're basically plugging into Get where it makes sense. Does that answer your question? I mean, it's nothing beyond Ansible and Terraform.
Okay, but Patroni, like if we need to do a change in Postgres, we need to change Patroni. And who will apply the changes? Will be we'll use Omnibus for some reason with Chef or not? Or are we changing directly the config files?
Yeah, so a change to Patroni will involve updating the configuration in GitLab.rb and then running Ansible. So to update the configuration in GitLab.rb, that would also be done through our Ansible template. So it would be through Omnibus.
Okay, thank you.
But driven by Ansible. So Ansible will make the config change of GitLab.rb using a template, and then it will issue a GitLab CTL reconfigure, and that will make the change.
All right, thanks.
Cool. So I don't have anything to demo for today that goes beyond what we did yesterday or last week. If there's nothing else, I think we can end the demo meeting. Does anyone have anything else? Cool. Thanks, everyone. Ciao.